going to need, or you're going to need this paper that looks like that. You should have a set of directions. You're going to need some kite string. So I've just got some kite string there. You'll need some scissors. You will need a marker, like a Sharpie will work, or if you have like Crayola markers or something, just so it's a marker and it will mark on the string. And then you can use spaghetti for this. So if you're at home and you're doing this, you could use spaghetti. What I'm going to use for this activity is I'm going to use what are called wiki sticks. And so there's these sticks. So if you're in class, I'll give you some of these, but they're like little strings that are kind of sticky. Like they'll stick to the paper if you press them. They'll also stick to all the dirt on your hands if you have dirty hands. So just, anyway, you'll need about 4 of these, and maybe you might need a couple more, but I'll have it figured out and give you the right amount. So anyway, I'm going to get, you can do like all the same color, or you can do different colors. It doesn't really matter. In fact, I'm just going to kind of use scraps that I have from previous years. And so that's what you need for this activity. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to take your circle and your kite string, and you are going to start the kite string here, or one of the edges, and you're going to wrap the string around. So you're trying to measure the circumference of this circle, and so you want to get it as long as the circle is, as good as possible. It's kind of hard to do with all this white background. Okay. So you want to, if it's a little bit bigger, that's okay. If it's a little bit smaller, that's okay, but you just want to get it as close as you can to the measurement. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of extra space. I'm going to cut it right there, and of course it's stuck to my scissors. Okay, so now that I've got that wrapped around, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to mark my starting spot, like right here. That's going to be where I'm going to start. And then I'm going to, in each quadrant, I'm just going to make 4 marks. It doesn't matter where, you can do them equally spaced or not. And then I'm going to mark on the axis, and I'm going to do 4 more marks. So like I said, it doesn't really matter if they're evenly spaced or anything. You can just see how it works. I'm going to take my string, and I'm going to put it back around my circle as carefully as I can. You actually could have maybe left it around your circle and then made your marks. I'll show you what you're going to do. So once I've got this around my circle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my marker and measure twice, cut once is kind of the idea here. So you want to do a good job there. I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to mark on the string where the marks are on my paper. So I'm going to mark that, and that. I'm just making marks on my string that are matching the marks on my circle. Forgot to tell you, if you're going to use spaghetti, you're going to need glue. Liquid glue works the best on this. Glue sticks don't work very well if you're using spaghetti. I guess hot glue would work too. I've never done it with hot glue, but I don't see why it wouldn't. Now I'm starting to come off the circle a little bit, but as long as I get mark for mark, like if I just get the right distance between the marks on my string, that's what I need. So I'm just kind of letting the Sharpie bleed onto the string here. And then get it back to starting position, about right there. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do, since I started with this end, I'm going to lay this down on my, so I'm going to put the starting string, or the place where I started my string, right there on 0. Get my marker. And then I'm going to lay this string flat out, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to start marking on my x-axis wherever I have marks on the string. And just like on your circle, it doesn't really matter if they're exactly equally spaced. That doesn't matter for what we're doing. You just want to make sure that the marks on your string match your circle and they match what you're putting on your x-axis. And of course it won't be perfect, but you should get the right idea. Now you're going to run out of paper before you run out of string. That's okay. Just go as far as you can. So I just got that far. Okay. So I'm done with my string now. And I'm done with my marker. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wiki sticks, or if you're doing spaghetti, you'll use that. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a measuring tool. So I'm going to start measuring from the x-axis to my first mark. So I'm going to do like a perpendicular measurement, and I'm going to cut that. So right where it is, cut it. Okay, and then I'm going to lay it first, okay? Then I'm going to use this to cut the next one. So I'm going to measure vertically like that. So that's where I'm going to cut right there. So, and I'm going to put second. You don't want to get them out of order because then that is not good. Okay, this one's pretty good as is. I think I'm going to trim a little bit off the top. Lay that down third. And then I think I'll finish this quadrant with green, and then I'll go to a different color. Like I said, they look really good if you do them all in one color or if you do them in two different colors, whatever. So far I've got 1, 2, 3, so I need to do 4. And so I'm going to cut right there. If you're using spaghetti, I actually would use the Sharpie to mark on the spaghetti where you're cutting, because then that makes it a little bit easier to know where to cut. So this is where I'm going to cut. So you're doing the y-axis as well. Okay, now I'm going to switch colors, not because I have to, but just for fun. I'm going to go to this yellow, so I'm going to go down here to this one. And so I'm going to pause the video because you don't need to watch me do all of them. And you're going to do all of them. Make sure that as you're going that you're laying them out in order. So I'm just putting them in order on my paper there. And just cut as carefully as you can. So I'll pause it, and then you can start it when you've got all of your pieces cut. So when you come, I need to finish that, but when you come like down here, you're going to have it go down. And so when you place them, put them down below here so that you know where they go, that they're this. So this part's going to be down. Okay, I've got all my pieces cut out, and I've got them laid out there. I've tried not to make them stick to the paper yet. Now, of course, when I measured right here, there's nothing to measure, so that's going to be a blank spot. So like in between where it changes from green to red, like I need to leave a blank spot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this right here, that's blank because that was my 0 where I started. And so I'm going to leave this right there blank. But this green one was this first measurement, so I'm going to put it right there on my first mark. So I'm going to just put it and press it into the paper so it stays. And then I'm just going to do that mark for mark. So just each one, you're going to press it and make sure it stays. Okay, so again, I'm going to pause the video because you probably don't need to watch me do all of these. You're going to do your own. And so you're going to do this for each one. Remember, when I get to where I change from green to red, I'm going to skip my space. Okay, so leave nothing there, and then you'll pick up on the next one. Okay, so that's what I've got. So where I was measuring from the x-axis to the point where it was measuring up, that's what I'm doing here. And then this right there where it's 0, that's what this blank spot is. And then I measured down, so that's why these are going down. So what I've got is, and I'm going to mark, I guess I'm not done with my marker, I'm going to mark right here And I do know that this one was 90 degrees, and I do know that this, let's see, after the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one was 270 degrees. So I do know those, okay? And so once you've got that all set up, if you will start at 0, and I want you to just kind of outline what's happening right there, okay? And when you do that, you're going to see a special type of graph. Try to keep it up just above the line like that. Okay, just continue. And put your name on it. Okay, right up there. And then you're going to take a picture of this, and you're going to submit it as task 8.2. And then you want to have this with you. You're actually going to turn it in to me so that I can take a look at them. And so I want you to submit it electronically and turn it in to me as well physically. And then we're going to talk about the meaning of this next time. But if you notice, what we were doing with all of our wiki sticks is we were measuring the Y measurement, and we learned with the unit circle, what is the Y? Y is the sine. So all of these are sines, S-I-N. So like the sine of 180 is 0. And the highest that it goes is +1, and the lowest it goes is -1. And so this is what's called the sine curve. And so that graph is y equals sine of x, or sine of theta, and that is our first trigonometric graph.